Experiment. We were testing it to see how things would go. Now we're trying to create an experience for all of you. So I hope the next 2 days are days that you'll remember here. I do understand we have a few issues with our Wi-Fi, and we're working on that. So I just give us a little time on that, and the guys are working on that. But it's my pleasure right now to introduce the next slide. Jacob, next slide. Thank you. I would like to introduce our Deputy Superintendent of Professional Learning and Support, a wonderful leader who I absolutely love working with, Jane Chamberlain. Thank you, Jane.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So it does seem, first of all, good morning. It does seem the older I get, the harder it becomes for me personally, to process a national tragedy without feeling deeply connected to it. And although today I'm about to give a welcome address focused on joy, I feel that it's hard to begin that address without first acknowledging the tragic loss experienced last night of 67 people aboard 2 aircrafts. So I would like to ask that we begin this morning in quiet reflection. Whether you use, I'm setting my timer here. Whether you use this time to reflect, to pray, to remember other losses, or to remind yourself to reconnect with your own loved ones today, we ask that you sit in silence for 67 seconds in memory of the 67 souls we lost last night. Thank you. I promise that you will leave today uplifted, reinvigorated, despite our collective sadness. Good morning and welcome to the San Joaquin County Office of Education. We are happy to host this event for a second year in a row. In recent months, Fred and I had an opportunity to discuss a book I've been reading titled Joyful. I brought it for you today. Look at the cover alone. Like, can't you find joy in that popsicle right there? Like, takes me back to, I'm pretty sure, you can't see it, but there has to be vanilla ice cream in the middle of that popsicle. The title of the book is Joyful, The Surprising Power of Ordinary Things to Create Extraordinary Happiness, and it's by Ingrid Lee. And during that discussion, Fred mentioned that UDL 3.0 includes a focus on joy and play. It is easy to think that joy is something we have to chase, something distant or fleeting, found in big achievements, grand moments, or faraway vacations. But joy isn't some rare treasure, something that we have to chase, but something much closer to home, something we can design into our lives. Today, I want to share a simple and powerful idea that joy isn't an abstract concept. It is instead tangible. It is created by the world around us, the shapes, the colors, and sounds, and experiences that touch our senses. This is the heart of Ingrid Lee's work. Lee's research reveals something remarkable. Ordinary objects and environments have the power to spark extraordinary joy, and we can harness that power in 3 simple ways. The first idea is to design with color. Think about the last time you walked into a room full of vibrant colors or through a field of flowers, enjoyed a playful mural, or even a bright cafe. What did you feel? Color lifts our spirits in ways we cannot always explain. Studies show that colors like yellow and orange and pink evoke feelings of warmth and energy, while greens and blues, the colors of UDL, bring calm. So let's stop saving color for special occasions or places. Add pops of it to your office, your home, your wardrobe, and most importantly, to our classrooms. A bright mug, a bold pillow throw, or a cheerful piece of art can turn an ordinary day into one with a little more joy. Secondly, embrace playfulness. As adults, we sometimes forget how important play is, but joy thrives in playfulness. Think about balloons, confetti, the satisfying pop of bubble wrap, small, seemingly silly things that make us smile. We can invite playfulness into our lives in tiny ways. Arranging objects in unexpected ways, like putting googly eyes on your office supplies or choosing quirky furniture. Don't be afraid to be a little whimsical. Joy loves to surprise us. Students of all ages love play. And 3, create spaces that spark connection. Joy often arrives in community when we feel seen, heard, and connected. Lee talks about how spaces can foster this connection. Circular seating arrangements, communal tables, or open, inviting layouts encourage interaction and collaboration. Even something as simple as stringing lights across a blackboard can create an atmosphere of warmth that draws students and people together. What would it look like if we designed not just our homes, but our workplaces, our classrooms, our public spaces with the goal of joy and play in mind? Imagine parks with swings for adults or offices with spaces to laugh and share ideas. These little touches can transform how we feel and how we connect. When we experience joy and play, our bodies release dopamine and serotonin, reducing stress and boosting our overall well-being. Surrounding ourselves, our colleagues, our students with joyful, playful environments can literally make all of us healthier. Moving towards embracing, building, and supporting joyful spaces might seem overwhelming. Start small. Look around your life and ask, what brings me joy? Is it the sunlight streaming through a window, or a cozy texture, or the sound of laughter? And then ask yourself, how do I create more of that? We often underestimate the power of small changes, but the truth is joy and play do not require perfection or extravagance. It just requires intention. By tuning into the things that delight us, we can transform not just our spaces, but our lives. So moving forward from today, I encourage you to commit to designing a life full of moments that spark joy. Because when we make room for joy, we make room for connection, creativity, and hope. Let's go out and find the joy hidden in the ordinary. Thank you, and have a fantastic day.
And we all need joy. The adults in the room need joy, right? Joy and play. Yay. So I am Fred Cochran. I recognize so many of you, but I just want to introduce myself. I'm the UDL implementation specialist here at San Joaquin County Office of Ed. And I am excited to kind of spearhead with a number of people in order for this event to take place. So as we go through today, I just want to go through a few housekeeping items with you and acknowledge some important details. Jacob? So this wouldn't have been possible without a great collaborative, all these folks coming together, people coming together, open access, the Department of Education, Supporting Inclusive Practices, CAST, the UDL Coalition, the California Coalition for Inclusive Learning, Placer County Office of Ed, Inclusion Collaborative from Santa Clara County Office of Education, and this Capital Central Foothill Area Consortium. We are so proud to host this event and hope to continue to do so in the years to come. We want to also acknowledge and thank our sponsors. Without this event, this is we need sponsorship, and we have some great sponsors. We want you to visit them. We hope you will, because there's great opportunities to participate in some of their raffles. Verco and Lakeshore are in Greenwood 1 and 2, and please visit the rest of our sponsors and vendors in the lobby area. So a little housekeeping for you. The next slide just shows a map, but in case there was an evacuation, we would go across the street underneath the solar panels. These are just some maps, but in your program you have maps of our building and Teachers College. Next slide, you'll see Teachers College, and we have 7 rooms at Teachers College for different sessions. 5 of those are either virtual or they are hybrid sessions. So things to keep in mind, we have refillable water stations in the hallway here. Bathrooms are easily located here. There is a gender-neutral bathroom upstairs. If you need anything at all as far as any special services, please let us know. We will take care of that. Purple shirts. You see a lot of purple shirts today. We are your guides today, and we will help you get to where you need to go. The blue shirts are our IT folks, and they are here to help us stay ready to go today. So we have a team, so be sure you reach out to anyone here for support or questions. I want to just call to mind that Katie Novak and Shelley Moore and Emily Mostovo Luna put together a wonderful pre-recorded session, and it's on the sketch, and we're not playing it right now, but I sure want you to see it because it's an absolutely amazing session they did for us. And in your bags, you'll see what's in your bag, but there's a laminated copy of the guidelines. We thank Lakeshore Learning for donating the bags. There's notebooks and pens and fidgets and a flyer about our UDL partner, Ludia, which is, we have a presentation with Beth Stark after the keynote, and she will be zooming in from Germany, and she's one of the co-developers of the Ludia AI tool. All right, and join us for lunch. There will not be a special presentation from Verco. We changed that, but there will be raffles and networking opportunities. One last thing, if you're interested, to collect a unit here from Teachers College. Teachers College has a table here, and you can, if you attend both days, and also write a reflection. I'll be your teacher for that and submit it, and you could get a unit as long as you get it approved by your district. So please visit them. And without further ado, it's time to introduce our keynote. And I am going to let Kevin Schaefer, who's a dear friend of mine, actually introduce himself today. So a little change. And I know you're going to love this presentation.
How many of you were here last year? Raise your hand. How many of you remember Fred's nickname that he garnered as Mr. Rogers of UDL? The Fred Rogers of UDL. Who remembers? Right. Okay. So our team brought. We pull this out. So we just talked about joy and play and color, and I looked at Fred. He wore black today.
That's blue.
It's almost black.
Okay.
So we brought Fred a little gift. Go ahead and open it. Oh, really? Yeah. So this is this is from our Supporting Inclusive Practices team.
Oh, cool. I guess.
So because Fred engages the entire state around UDL, he has a UDL cardigan of engagement, and yeah, slip it over. But I expect you to wear this the next 2 days. And that's not all. Because you represent UDL so well in California,
I get it.
yeah, you get it.
Is that why you asked me what size shoe I wear?
Yeah. Deanie and I were actually behind the scenes trying to figure it out.
I thought that was the weirdest thing to ask me.
So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. I didn't realize I put this thing down. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. Now? Okay, good. So without my coordinator, Janelle, I'm a little bit of a mess. I want to introduce our team really quick. Juliet Anawanyu, raise your hand. Thomas Veloso, program specialist with the Supporting Inclusive Practices team. Janelle Mercado, my handler, is our coordinator. And Fred promised me that I didn't have to stand behind the podium if I'm going to do the keynote. So if you don't mind, is that a problem with anybody if I just kind of walk around? Okay. Because I walk and I think. So really quickly, I'm Kevin Schaefer, the director of the Supporting Inclusive Practices project, really fast. Former special education teacher, preschool through 12th grade, self-contained educational specialist up in Elk Grove, so live close, Sacramento. And then also, is Elk Grove here? Or are you just like Elk Grove? You're a fan of Elk Grove. Administrator for special education in Elk Grove, national technical assistance provider, and now I work for El Dorado County Office of Ed for the Supporting Inclusive Practices project. I'll just talk. This coming from an introvert, so you can imagine where this is going to go. I guess I don't need a clicker. So putting this together was interesting because I had a whole presentation planned last week. I felt really good about being prepared because I'm usually still in college trying to figure out what I need to do the next day. And then last week happened. I woke up this morning, I'm like, is this January 45th, 2025? Who knew January had 9 weeks? So I thought that I would just try to figure out how deep I want to go into diversity, equity, and inclusion with this group. And I figured if we're going to talk about Universal Design for Learning 3.0, I'm kind of guessing you're okay with having those conversations? Good. So we're going to have them anyway. And our project, funded by the California Department of Ed through El Dorado County Office of Ed and Riverside County Office of Ed, our focus is students with disabilities. I feel like I'm going to need a clicker.
Hand me your clicker.
Do you see what Janelle does?
See?
That's her major job, is making sure I have my stuff together.
There, good. Click down, and we'll get closed captioning in a second.
Okay.
Just need his other screen.
There is a lot going on this morning.
I just need to get to his other
So I redid the presentation. And I thought, how deep do I want to go with DEI? So I decided to put it in the title. That's where we're going to go with it. So in 60 minutes or less, I hope you're comfortable with not getting through all the content. But because this is UDL, if you go to the QR code, or you can go to the bit.ly, you can download this whole presentation. And what I wanted you to leave with, this isn't your normal keynote where I talk to you for an hour. I want you to leave with things. All the links are live in the entire presentation. Resources, websites, videos that are related back to UDL 3.0. So I'm going to give you a minute to do that. I hope it's working. I'll get out of everyone's way. I think you're going to really want this slide deck. And not just because I created it. Oh, sorry. So this is actually the most important part of the presentation, is to make sure that you have access. Are we good? Okay, I'll give you 15 more seconds, and then if you don't mind, I'd like to get started. You good? If not, just find Janelle, find Juliet, find Thomas, find myself. We'll give you the link. Okay, moving on. So this is our mission for the project, supporting inclusive practices. If you have a need for any type of resource, video, we have our events. Go to the website, www.sipinclusion.org. All of our resources, all of our support is at no cost, funded by the California Department of Education. So you can read through the mission. And this is my favorite headshot. When Fred and I think Shamron Coyle asked if I would do the keynote, immediately I was filled with imposter syndrome. And I'm like, what am I even going to talk about? And Fred, as only Fred can, he said, well, maybe you should think about something related to UDL. Thumbs up, Fred. Thanks for the suggestion. So this is my kindergarten picture. I know, cute, huh? This is also the time that, remember Nadia Comaneci, gymnast? Well, that was during that time. We had curbs down the side of our driveway, and I thought, if she can do balance beam, I can do balance beam. You notice the shiner on my forehead. You notice the lack of front teeth. That was the result. And because it was in my kindergarten picture, I thought I'd give myself a haircut, which actually is why I'm not a hairdresser at the moment. This is also the time, that's my special ed speech therapy report card. My mom was the secretary for my elementary school in the Midwest. She saved it all. So to look at the comments from the speech therapist, super interesting. Because during this time, it was kindergarten through third grade. It was a pull-out speech program, 3 times a week, 45 minutes. 1971, 72. Is anybody even close to that generation? Okay. I feel like I'm the oldest one in the room these days. So this was even before special education, 1975. My mom likes to say I was special ed before special ed actually existed. This is also the period of time, and like it's speech, pull out, mild, moderate. These are the years that are most vivid in my memory. The idea of a 5-year-old walking down the hall and remembering the color of the tile and remember the wire in the office, remembering the names of the 2 students in the session before me, the emotional connection to segregation or exclusion or going to a different place knowing that there's something wrong that needs to be fixed that no one talks about. And we don't talk about disability. And in our culture, what we don't talk about turns to shame. We have to give our students voice. We have to give our students a positive, asset-based self-perception of who they are and an identity that is too often seen through a lens of deficit. Oh, wait. There you go. So we have to remember how we design program, how we design environments to ensure all students are represented in a positive way in our, and we cannot do that work without understanding identity, intersectionality, power, privilege, marginalization. And that is where UDL comes into play. And here's the other kicker. I have a lot of privilege. Look at me. It requires me to be self-reflective, to have a sense of humility, to say, I might be an expert in special education, but I am not an expert in understanding the needs and the experiences of the disability community, of the female experience, or from a racial perspective. I need to step back, be an ally, and listen in order to be effective. And we do not ask our students with disabilities, what do you need and what is the experience? Yeah, we're coming in hot and hard today. So you can look at our project. We provide no-cost support, and we also work with over 100 county offices, SELPAs, and districts in California over the course of 5 to 7 years to create inclusive environments for students with disabilities, which begins with leadership teams to understand the culture, the policy, and the practice that are too often rooted in ableism that we don't recognize because it's implicit. And that's why these UDL 3.0 principles, guidelines, and considerations are critical to this work. We cannot do it without it. It's foundational. So I put together since I got the microphone, I get to pick the content, right? So I pulled out a couple things that I felt was important to the conversation. This is the first. Universal design for learning must be implemented as a necessary Tier 1 universal level of support for all students. Do you agree? Having said that, I'm only going to talk about students with disabilities. Is that okay? Okay, so just keep that in mind. All of my UDL experts in the room, if I didn't say that, they'd come at me afterwards. Here's another statement we need to look at. This is a problem. UDL implementation efforts cannot fall solely on the shoulders of teachers. Waiting. Say it one more time for the people in the back. UDL implementation efforts cannot fall solely on the shoulders of teachers and remain the responsibility of special education. Which too often it's seen as a special education effort. It is a framework that applies to all learners. Here's the other consideration. It applies to all departments within a district. Think about your HR. Think about your facilities. Think about your transportation. Can't they be universally designed? Yeah. It cannot be only in our classrooms. Okay? And then here's the last one. The UDL guidelines highlight social justice tenets such as identity, bias, ableism, and challenging exclusionary practices. It is our moral obligation to ensure all students are represented in the educational environments that we design. And that is a heavy responsibility. And we absolutely cannot design those educational environments from a perspective of power and privilege for marginalized populations. That's where the self-reflection and the humility comes into play. Ask our students, ask our families, what is your experiences with the innovations that we are designing? Otherwise, we're making assumptions. And I apologize to everyone sitting in the front row if I spit on you. Don't take it personal. So is everybody familiar with UDL 3.0? It is so good. When I first saw it, could not believe they actually call out challenge exclusionary practices. Holy moly. Joy, play, bias, identity, all of it. So I just wanted to frame, oh, sorry. Janelle's giving me signals. I'm not holding this close enough. Thanks, Janelle. Do you all have access to the UDL guidelines? You have a giant one in your bag? People, pull it out. I love and laminated Fred, my God. Pull it out. He's putting his shoes on. Pull it out. We're going to do a little tour. We're doing a tour, people. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. Put your guidelines on your table. I got to pick out a couple of the guidelines, a couple of the principles that I wanted you to leave with, because as you go into the breakout sessions, you are actually going to go really deep into the things. We're just going to talk big picture. Things I want you to know as you go in. The first, I could not be part of an inclusion project without starting with challenging exclusionary practices. And then I pulled the quote right off the website. It is imperative to create structures to learn from learners' lived experiences in order to surface exclusionary practices as well as to address them. Does that resonate with everyone? Well, here's a quote that is going to go a little bit deeper. Maybe. Oh, read that. Woo. Everybody. Well, could we do it in sync next time? Wow, that was, I think it's probably, okay, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we've done the same thing. We're going to continue doing the same thing. And because we do it so often, we don't even recognize what we're doing with the best of intention, not reflecting on the potential harm of the impact of students post-secondary. Ooh. Yeah. Think about your IEP development, IEP team member development. We are making a decision on the level, the amount of access, connectedness, relationship, community a student will experience in their least restrictive environment. We are determining the level of belonging of a child to their community. do we approach every IEP meeting from the exact same perspective with the exact same result, because it's always what we've done and it's what we have to offer. UDL forces us to think outside the box, right? So this is critical. This idea is super critical. There we go. So I want you to I want you to self-reflect, first of all. We use the term inclusion so often, it has lost its meaning. And if there are 200 people in this room, there are 200 different perspectives of what inclusion is. So as you go through the breakout rooms for the next 2 days, I want you to grab, do you have Post-its on your table? Okay, in your notebook, in your head, whatever, do it in the notebook. Green notebook, your engagement notebook. I want you to self-reflect and come up with your definition of inclusion, and I want you to take that definition with you in every single breakout room and open it up and look at it. Take them 90 seconds. Write your definition of inclusion so you are clear personally. And then I want you to have a little conversation with partner and show them, and maybe you want to refine it. Okay? Go for it. Go, go, go. And share with a partner. Share with a partner. Put it out into the universe. And then I'm going to come around and grade all of your definitions. I do.
Diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance.
Awesome. Who wrote it?
Verna Myers. Diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked.
What? I love it. All right, let's come to a close. I do have someone who'd like to share the quote that they came up with. She called me over. She's like, "You want to hear my quote?" Yeah, I'd love to hear her quote. Here we go.
Okay, I love a quote. Diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance. And that is by Verna Myers. That is not my own quote.
Love it. Ask your students to dance. All right. Are you familiar with the TIES Center? This is one of your resources. I put the link here. The TIES Center. They are a National Technical Assistance Center, and they focus on inclusion for students with extensive support needs. One of the areas that they focus on is defining belonging. And I want to be really clear. When we talk about inclusion, we are not talking about determination of least restrictive environment through the IEP team meeting. And often we consider those two terms to be synonymous. Is it possible that an IEP meeting team determines general education to be least restrictive and the student not experience meaningful belonging? That's why we have to work with general education to design the environments so that it is least restrictive and it's also meaningfully inclusive and representative of the students that are in that classroom. Is it also possible that students in self-contained, more segregated environments, is it possible that they experience belonging? Absolutely. Here's the rub. That's an artificial environment. We are educating students in artificial environments, and when they leave our system and they experience authentic environments, they don't know what to do. Our goal has to be students that leave our system understand how to navigate authentic environments with non-disabled adults to ensure they're able to be employed and experience a college setting. So yes, they can experience belonging and inclusion in a self-contained environment, still artificial. I was a self-contained teacher. I loved special ed teachers, but we also have to reflect whether or not that systemic process of placement is invisible, and we hope for the best in the thinking that we're doing what's right for kids. Where's my preschool teachers? Raise your hand. Preschool, preschool, preschool. Go ahead. My husband's a kindergarten teacher. He comes home every day and tells me stories, and I'm like, you do you, and I'll do me. No. Even at preschool, our students are being prepared through play and through joy for college and career. But do we make that connection? Okay? So this idea of belonging, 10 dimensions. Up in the right-hand corner, they have to be present. They have to be invited, welcomed, known, accepted, involved, supported, heard, befriended, and the diversity that they bring to the educational setting is needed in order to develop empathy for typically developing peers. We are denying non-disabled peers the opportunity to be empathetic and allies through the relationship of an individual with disability, because too often we hide the disability in segregated environments. I can't. I don't remember what I just said. But thank you for connecting with it. Yeah. So let's talk about the goal of UDL. Learner agency. Ultimately, the goal of UDL is to support learner agency, the capacity to actively participate in making choices in service of learning and goals. Supporting learner agency requires recognizing dimensions of culture, identity, and examining where bias may be a barrier to learners being able to fully exercise their agency. Let's go back one. Making choices. Do we deny individuals with disabilities the ability to make choices, therefore to not be self-determined, because we assume what they know and can do? We think we know because we're the experts. You can be an expert in special education, compliance, programming, and not be an expert in understanding the disability community. So if anyone in the room is in charge of equity, diversity, inclusion in their district, and disability isn't a part of it because we see it as the responsibility of special education, let's talk afterwards. Okay? The goal of, and this changed with 3.0, from expert learner to learner agency. How many of you have student-directed, student-driven, student-centered IEPs? Couple? Like 2? 3? Thanks. I can only count to 2. We assume that students with disabilities will be harmed and their self-perception of themselves will be from a deficit lens if we talk about their disability. They'll feel bad about themselves. That is part of the ableism in our system, that because it is seen from a perspective of deficit, we don't want to talk about it. We are also then denying students the ability to self-advocate for themselves, right? Well, clap for it. So this idea of self-advocate, if we do not step aside and say, all of our students with disabilities, we are keeping at high standards. We are allowing them the agency to make their own decisions and understand who they are, and then talk about who they are, and then ask for what they need. If we don't do that, we are, and I'm using this term purposefully, we are handicapping. We are crippling our students with disabilities. If y'all don't quit asking me to repeat it, no, it's not going to go over their head. There's very few people that are ready for me, just FYI. Who knows who this is? Stephanie, put your hand down. I know you know. If you know who this is, most likely you have some connection to the disability community, right? That's Judy Heumann, people. That is the godmother of disability. She's the godmother of disability. So when we talk about UDL and we talk about representation in our curriculum, we do not talk about the rich history of disability. Judy Heumann and the disability community in, I think, the 1970s, they got out of their wheelchairs and they crawled up the Capitol steps in Washington to get 504 passed. Now y'all know that if I just wait, I'm expecting a clap. Check your curriculum. Check the books in your teacher's library. Any of them written by disabled authors? Any of them frame disability from a positive perspective? Probably not. And we then expect our students with disabilities to have heroes or to see what's possible. There was a librarian in one of our trainings, and she's like, I just showed up to this training. I didn't have a connection. Leaving, she's like, I order all the books for the district, and I've never considered looking for books and topics, content around disability. It costs nothing. Well, the price of a book, but you're going to spend that money anyway. So let's talk about ableism. Ableism is the hidden ism in our educational system. We get asked all the time, what are you even talking about? What is ableism? There's your definition. Ableism presents itself in the language we use, our behaviors, our mindsets. It results in the policies and practices that we allow. And because we don't talk about it, we can't recognize it, and therefore we can't disrupt it. That wasn't a pause, but I'll take it. And when we look at ableism, it could be from a good place. Inspiration, ableist. Students need fixing, ableist. Here's the kicker with that. How many times have you heard that in order for a student to participate in the environments that should be designed for them, they have to earn their way back into that place? They don't have to earn anything. They have to fix themselves. My mom used to always say that, fix yourself. We're going in, so get yourself fixed. Students with disabilities do not need to fix themselves in order to earn a place. Students with disabilities do not have to fix themselves in order to experience meaningful belonging, community, connection, and relationship. Okay? I'd like you to quote me. Okay, credit. I'm just kidding. So here's another one. This is right there. It's in the engagement. Address biases, threats, and distractions. It's right there in the UDL 3.0. One of the most important things an educator can do is create accepting and supportive space for learners in which they feel valued, supported, agentic, and encouraged to take risks, form their own opinions, and engage in dialogue. We're going to talk about the dignity of risk. When we over-accommodate, for students with disabilities because we don't want them to fail, because we want to support to an extent that other students we allow to fail. We allow them to make mistakes. When we deny that for students with disabilities, they are not learning because we learn through failure. We learn through making mistakes. So if there is nothing else you leave with the understanding the dignity of risk. And this is the voice of the disability community. Pray it plays. I hear it on my computer. Janelle, where thanks, Janelle. So as Janelle is fixing me, the dignity of risk. So ableism, I just want to call out this idea of over-accommodating. Over-accommodating could be in placement. It could be in, how many of you have heard, well, the student's going to need an adult in order to come back into this environment. That adult could very well be the barrier for the student to experience authenticness in a least restrictive general education environment. That is also the population, the role that we do not train. Train about the disability, train about how that specific disability is manifesting in particular environments, and then how do you fade? Get the hell out. Right? I'm just going to stand right here. Are we ready? Okay. This is dignity of risk. Don't fail me now, Janelle.
One thing that is really big in self-advocacy and the work that I do, and we discuss it a lot, is the dignity of risk. The dignity of risk is the opportunity and the right to make mistakes. It's one thing to be told things through lecture, but how else can you learn if you don't make mistakes? Life is about learning from the mistakes you make. I appreciate, and we appreciate, protection from people, but please don't protect us too much or at all from living our lives. We are going to have to encounter failures through decisions that we make. But the way to conquer that is to get up on your feet, brush yourself off, and learn from that, because people grow by encountering failures and making mistakes in their life. It's really the #1 way of learning of where lines are drawn, and also it helps with learning about yourself. The dignity at risk is one of many opportunities that people with disabilities deserve to have. It's one thing just to give them like only a select few, but clearly, even saying in the Americans with Disabilities Act, people with disabilities deserve to live their lives with no limits of opportunity. It really opens the doors for people with disabilities to really discover what is out there and to take advantage of what is out there and not be limited to only certain things due to the overprotection that people with disabilities unfortunately have to live with.
Are you all familiar with the UC Davis Redwood Seed Scholars Program? Oh, y'all. So UC Davis has the first in California 4-year residential independent living program for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. They get to experience the entire college experience. Did you know that? They're in their 4th year. They have a website. Go to the website. California just approved, and put your pencils down for this one. California just legislated the Inclusive Colleges Center out of Sacramento County Office of Ed and LA County Office of Ed to work with UCs and CSUs to expand the UC Davis program across California. So I want to self-reflect. Do our programs, preschool through adult transition, reflect the opportunities for our students that are most marginalized through disability to live independently in a college situation? Or are they learning about themselves and who they are and making choices and making decisions at the age of 18 or 19 for the first time? The students come, Beth Forker is the director. If you don't, Beth should be your keynote next year, by the way, Fred. Beth is the director. She talks about students coming in as freshmen. They can take any elective. The world is their oyster. And guess what most of the responses are? Do you have cooking classes? That's all they know about what they want to be because it's been their only choice. Year 2, they're taking entomology. I had to look up what entomology actually was. It's the bugs, right? Or Chicano women's study. Like, they're able to take any class. Here's what's happened. Because of the students, for the first time on that campus with extensive support needs, it's actually forced all of the professors who have taught in the exact same way to teach better. They got to teach better. And guess what else? Because they're teaching better, it's not only benefiting the students that are in the program, but guess what? All the other struggling learners who are trying to make it through college in their freshman year are also benefiting because of their placement in those classes. Could that happen on your campuses? It raises the bar by having that diversity and recognizing that it is needed in order to be our best. There, I said it, and I'm glad I did. So, allyship. Are we allying ourselves to all of our marginalized student populations and working with our students to develop that level of empathy and allyship that is needed in order to create a community? So there's your definition of allyship. And represent a diversity of perspectives, and there's identities again, in authentic ways. Identity work, intersectionality work is critical for us to understand who has identities of power and privilege and who have identities of marginalization. That gives us an idea of how we can be allies from a position of power to marginalized individuals to step back, self-reflect, and be filled with humility so that we don't value treatment over freedom. We want to treat the students. We want to exclude the students. And we want to provide the supports and services in a space that does not allow freedom because it's focused on the treatment. Okay. Oh, the representation piece. Your work around mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors, this goes back to this idea of curriculum. Are we able to see ourselves in the curriculum? Are we able to see other cultures and other perspectives? And are we able to make connections through that sliding glass door? Okay? Rudine did all that work. This is a video that you can watch. It's in your PowerPoint. Like I said, all the resources, all of the videos are available. But you're going to have to do that one on your own. So we've talked about curriculum and the invisibles. I put a link to a disability awareness book list, which actually goes from early learners all the way up to high school and beyond. that you can give to librarians or book buyers in your district, if you do that, you're actually doing inclusion. We're not talking about moving kids anywhere. We're just talking about let's give representation to all of our students. That's a great place to start. Address biases in the use of language and symbols. I know I have 3 minutes left, but I do want to look at that second bullet. You can see we're using closed captioning, but we have to be able to identify ableist language that we use and we allow, because language actually governs our culture. Are we brave enough to call it out when we recognize it? Not just on the playground, but in the teacher's lounge. Think about some of the terms that are used to describe students with disabilities. So here's some quotes, and here's some tips. You have probably heard those quotes before. Those are county kids. These are my kids. Those are your kids. Come pick up your kid. Ableist, othering, the whole bit. This is a resource. It's the Stanford Disability Language Guide. It talks about terms to use, terms not to use. What's offensive to the disability community that we may not find offensive because we use the terms all the time. We hear the terms all the time, and it stereotypes individuals with disabilities. Stephanie Coleman is doing a breakout session on belonging, and she is the queen of all things accessibility. She actually gave us this resource. I'm actually going to end with this because it's important, and it gives a parent perspective. And I see Fred over there in his cute new little outfit. Okay, here we go. This is going to end it. The following text is taken directly from my 4-year-old special education documents. Appears clumsy. Fails to catch himself. Struggles to make friends. Attracts adverse attention. Displays unintelligible speech. Will rock his body. Should be monitored. Our words can change. Focuses when engaged. Enjoys movement. Benefits from core strength. Connects with older peers. Orients musically. Thrives on nonverbal communication. Seeks relaxation. Recognizes when to exercise caution. Our future is fluid. Our words can change. Educators, be the change. And it's from the parent's perspective. I love being your mama. So I think the charge over these last 2 days of January to be able to experience all the expertise in the room around universal design for learning and the expertise that you already have that you're going to increase. It's inspiring and I appreciate your attention and staying with me for the last 45 minutes. Again, you can download the slides, all of the resources. Our team is here. You have experts available, so I appreciate your attention. Have a great 2 days.
So this is my outfit. Thank you, Kevin. That was awesome. Thank you. So everything begins now. Keep looking at Sketch, our scheduler, because there have been a couple of changes in our sessions. So if a session had been canceled, you received a message and you had the opportunity to join a different session. Don't forget that we have the UDL escape room in Greenwood 4, so that's going to be open for both days. So Sun Park and I are hosting that room. So come in, say hello, or we're going to have a session right now. So I'm going to let you get on your way. And Teachers College is next door, and there's a couple of sessions here. Thank you.